Welcome everyone to the first of 4 very special editions of CEO Chat. That's right, Swimming with Sharks has had a great run with our first season. We had 20 wonderful episodes, and with 20 wonderful, very diverse and fantastic guests. And so we are closing out season 1, and we're getting ready to launch season number 2 starting on March 9th. And so instead of going off the air for a couple of weeks, we thought that we would bring to you a very special edition of what we like to call CEO Chats with ManoByte's very own CEO, Kevin Dean. And essentially, over the next 4 weeks, Kevin will be talking about his vision for what's happening in the building material manufacturer space and what specifically building material manufacturers should be thinking about right now. And so, as we close out season 1 with 20 wonderful episodes, we're getting ready to bring to you season number 2, so be ready for that on March 9th. And until then, please enjoy these CEO Chats with ManoByte's own Kevin Dean. And so, just so you can get to know Kevin a little bit more, let me introduce you to him. He's a scuba diver. And so, for those of you that don't know what ManoByte actually means, Mano is the Hawaiian word for shark. And so, an avid scuba diver like Kevin Dean, obviously, he likes and doesn't mind swimming with sharks, and so he has even dove in the Red Sea. He's attended and enjoyed dozens of Broadway plays. He plays the bass and he plays the guitar. He's the founder and CEO of ManoByte, and today, Kevin Dean will be talking to us about the HubSpot Content Management System, or CMS, and what that means for building material manufacturers and how that can help building material, how the HubSpot CMS building material, how the HubSpot CMS can help those in the building material manufacturer space, how it can help them grow better. And so, without further ado, let's introduce you to Kevin Dean and get right to our very first of 4 special episodes of CEO Chat.
So, Will, I want to start by taking a stroll down memory lane. And unfortunately, by doing so, I'm going to expose my age. So I've been doing the internet business of things for quite a long time. I remember my favorite search engine before Google was called Dogpile. That goes way back. Most people probably don't even have any recollection of Dogpile. I started building websites professionally in the year 2000. The first website that I created was straight HTML, and I did it with a text editor. I remember in 2002 when Microsoft released ASP.NET. That was an absolute amazing tool, because instead of building text-based web pages and text-based content, we could finally build web applications. And that's what I started to do. I actually went and worked for a company called Eaton Corporation, and I built a PLM, or a project lifecycle management application, on ASP.NET for the engineers at Eaton. Later on, it was probably around the year 2003, I remember when the first ever content management system was released. It was called .NET Nuke, or DNN for short. This made it possible for us to create web pages much easier, much quicker, and to be able to manage large-scale websites. But later that year, later in 2003, WordPress was launched. Now, at the time, most of us thought that WordPress was just a blogging platform, and that you really wouldn't use WordPress for building professional websites. Later, the following year, in 2004, I registered the domain for personal use, KJ Dean, on GoDaddy, and I built my very first WordPress website. So fast forward a few years to March of 2008. In March of 2008, that was shortly after I had started ManoByte. I actually built the ManoByte website on WordPress. And it was built and hosted on their SaaS platform. And so when you think about WordPress, or when I think about it, I've been building websites before WordPress actually existed. And I was one of the first or early adopters of WordPress. In the early days of ManoByte, we promoted WordPress as the best platform to build professional websites on. I was a true WordPress evangelist. We learned to build any and everything on WordPress. Well, let me take that back. We actually learned that we could install any plugin into WordPress and create just about any functionality, deliver just about any functionality that we wanted or needed. Now, occasionally, we couldn't find the plugin that we needed to have the functionality that a specific company would want. So we'd have to build it on our own. But honestly, that was a very rare occasion. Didn't happen that much. So we fast forward again to 2013. In 2013, that's when ManoByte became a HubSpot partner. And there were two reasons that we at ManoByte became a HubSpot partner, but I'm only going to focus on one of those reasons. And that reason that we decided, at least at the time, one of the big reasons to become a HubSpot partner was because of the way that we were doing business. See, at the time, we were building websites on WordPress, managing social media for customers using Hootsuite. There was also another program that we used. It was called Sendable. We were using MailChimp to manage email campaigns. And honestly, there was no true way to tie it all together or show that we were delivering results for our customers. So that was what we were doing in 2013. So fast forward now to 2020, unfortunately, a lot of companies are doing the exact same thing that we were doing back in 2013, but times have changed. And the reason that we went to HubSpot was because in 2013, we saw how challenging it was to manage marketing programs in that way. It was a nightmare. You had multiple logins. It was no way to prove results. There were just so many challenges. So we became a HubSpot partner and started using HubSpot instead of all these other tools that were cobbled together. And we began to see much better results. At the time, HubSpot had a CMS, but to be honest, it was horrible. It was so painful that it just was much quicker and easier for us to build a website on WordPress and then connect HubSpot to WordPress. However, over the years, the HubSpot CMS just kept getting better and better and better. It got so good that 3 years ago, we decided as a company that we would only build websites on the HubSpot CMS. It was the best decision that we could have made, not only for ourselves, but really for our clients. Now, before I tell you why we only build websites using the HubSpot CMS, I want to back up again because in 2013, ManoByte was only working with small businesses. We were working with anyone that we could get at the time. However, prior to 2013, I had experience rolling out enterprise level websites for Fortune 500 companies. And at the time, I had experience using Sitecore to roll out these large scale enterprise websites. Sitecore was and is an amazing platform. It has amazing website personalization. It has great tools, the database. I mean, it's just an awesome tool. In addition to using Sitecore, I also had experience using a digital asset management software. Again, these are tools that you would use in large-scale enterprise organizations. So when I look back over my career, being involved with web development, web design for quite some time, I've had experience working with very small companies, very small websites. I've had experience working with mid-sized companies, and I've also worked with some of the largest companies in the world. So because of my experience, this gives me a great deal of perspective. Now, we've worked with companies like Steelcase, and they use HubSpot on their website. Well, I'll take that back. Steelcase, they use HubSpot, but for their website, they're using WordPress. Now, personally, I would not advise them to move their website to the HubSpot CMS. In my opinion, I think, honestly, if I think about Steelcase, it's just my opinion, but I think that they should move their website to Sitecore. Another one of our clients is Universal Forest Products. Now, they're using HubSpot for their CRM, but they're using Sitecore as their content management system. And that makes sense to me. You know, Universal Forest Products, they actually came to me and asked me about the HubSpot CMS, and I actually advised them against using the HubSpot CMS. Because they're on Sitecore, it really is the right choice for them based on the size of their business, the complexity that they have on their websites. It really is the best option for them. Now, we've also done work with lots of architects and engineering companies. We've done work with builders and remodelers. And some of these companies are very small, with very small websites. And some of our customers, they are using the HubSpot CRM, but because they're so small, CMS, the HubSpot CMS really isn't the best fit for them. WordPress is actually a better choice for them because of their business priorities. At the same time, some of these small builders and general contractors that we've worked with, they've actually bought into the HubSpot philosophy, and they've moved their entire stack onto HubSpot. So they've got HubSpot CRM, HubSpot marketing platform, the HubSpot CMS, all on one. One of our clients, Thompson Remodeling, they actually presented at the National Remodelers Association on the ROI that they were getting because of being all in on HubSpot. And they had the CRM, the Marketing Hub, and the CMS. So when it comes to website platforms, there are 4 different categories that you should consider from a platform perspective. And these really align with company size as well as goals and objectives. So the first category that I'll discuss and I'll mention, this is the enterprise content management systems. These are the systems like Sitecore, Adobe Experience Manager, that's another CMS that falls into that category of Sitecore, built for the enterprise. These are the Mercedes of content management systems. To my knowledge, the only companies that are running Sitecore in the building materials industry are GAF, UFP, and Mandela. I'm not aware of any company that's actually using Adobe Experience Manager in the building materials industry. I think there might be some interesting use cases for it, but no company that I know of is currently running Adobe Experience Manager in the building materials industry. The next category of website platforms is the category where startups, entrepreneurs, and very small businesses live and fall into. Now, I have to say very small businesses because we talk to a lot of building material companies with $10 to $50 million in revenue, and they'll say that they are a small business, when technically they're categorized as a mid-size company. To me, it's actually funny that almost every time we talk to any company with less than 1,000 employees, they will always say that they're a small company. It's all a matter of perspective. It doesn't matter what their revenue is. So think of a very small business as an independent general contractor. This is the guy with the truck, him and his buddy, they go around installing decks, gutters, and whatever project they can get their hands on. This is the guy that gets up at 6:30 in the morning and starts his day at Home Depot or Menards. That's a very small business. Very small businesses like that, they can really get away with using what I'll call DIY platforms, do-it-yourself website creation platforms. These are platforms like a Wix. Wix will fall into this category. Now, I will say that Wix is an interesting platform because they have a drag and drop experience that allows a company to stand up a website in a matter of hours or days. What's interesting to me is that I've actually seen $10 million building material companies whose website lives on Wix. I'll come back to that and why that's really not a great idea. The next category that I'll discuss are small to medium-sized businesses. Think of a remodeling company. Now, according to the NAHB, your average remodeler makes around $2.3 million in revenue. Companies of this size are typically a good fit for building their websites on WordPress. Companies like this, they've really built a good business, a solid business, and their business grows because of their skill and their reputation. The last category that I'll discuss are scaling companies. Scaling companies need a content management system that can scale with them. So I would categorize scaling companies as mid-sized businesses with revenues starting at $10 million and expanding into the hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. This is where HubSpot is actually the best fit. HubSpot is for companies who want everything connected so that they can have one platform that integrates sales, marketing, customer service data all in one, giving them a 360-degree look into what's going on with their company and what's truly driving business growth. The HubSpot CMS is perfect for building material companies that care about delivering a great customer experience. So remember earlier, I mentioned that I've seen $10 million building materials companies with websites that are on platforms like Wix. Here's why that happens. So historically, building materials companies don't really care about their website. They view their website as having less value than a printed catalog. Pre-COVID-19, I heard a lot of building materials manufacturers tell me that their customers don't use the internet. Yep, that's what I said. They'd say that their customers didn't use the internet. Not that they didn't use their website, but the internet. Okay, it's kind of funny, but the truth was that a lot of mid-sized building materials companies were getting away with a feet on the street approach. They had salespeople going from one distributor to another trying to hawk their wares. Sales reps would walk into a distributor, a showroom with big bulky product catalogs that came from the manufacturer, and these catalogs, manufacturers would spend tens of or even hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on creating. When COVID hit, a lot of companies in the building material space had to rethink their sales and marketing tactics. No one could deny that we're living in a world where all businesses have to think digital first. So think about this. Shouldn't building material manufacturers be spending the same amount, if not more, on digital than they do on print? I've examined hundreds, if not thousands, of websites, and I've seen a lot of building materials manufacturers simply throw a copy of their catalog in PDF format up on their website that's dated, and oftentimes it's not mobile responsive, and then they proclaim success. To be clear, that's nowhere near success. And if anything, I would argue that it's actually creating a bad experience that's actually driving customers away. Another significant problem that I've seen when it comes to building materials companies selecting a website platform is that they relegate this decision to their IT department. This is mostly because they really don't know what to do or how to select the right platform. But delegating this decision to your IT department is not the best path. When selecting a website platform, it has to be a business decision, not a technical decision. Sales and customer service, they really have the largest stake when it comes to a website project. The marketing department, they're actually the facilitators of the process, managing the project. And the IT department, well, it's their job to ensure that security and back office integration requirements are met. HubSpot is an all-in-one platform that provides sales, marketing, customer service, and operations with everything that they need from an online perspective to ensure that building material companies can grow better. With HubSpot, you can create all your web content, your website pages, landing pages, and blog posts. You not only can create all your content in one place, you can manage it, optimize it for search, track its performance, integrate it with your sales program, with your CRM, make sure that your customer service people have access to what's going on, all in the one platform. A building material manufacturer's website has to be different from other industries. This is because of the way that products are specified, sold, purchased, and used. There are multi levels of complexity when it comes to selling a product through a one or two-step distributor. This is where HubSpot really stands out as a platform, being ideal for building materials manufacturers and distributors. HubSpot is built on top of a world-class CRM. So that means that your website and customer data all live in one place. Now that's huge when it comes to marketing and sales. It means that you can leverage information about your customers to create a more personalized, relevant experience from your website. HubSpot gives you the ability to know information that was previously hidden. You have the ability to find out not only what architects in general are looking at on your website, but you can know specifically which architects are looking at specific information on your website. Using HubSpot, you can build customer intelligence that tells you which architect specifies for specific general contractors, which general contractors buy from which distributors, and how long it takes for a distributor to submit an order based on their previous purchase patterns. Now, pass that information on to your sales and customer service teams, and they're equipped to be more helpful in their conversations that they're having with the distributors. Harvard professor and business strategist Clay Christensen developed what's known as the jobs theory. The job theory helps companies to look at customers' needs and focus on their motivations. The concept is this, that people have a job that they have to get done in their life, and they, quote unquote, hire the best product or service to get the job done. Think about the saying, people don't buy a quarter-inch drill, they buy a quarter-inch hole. That's a perfect example of jobs theory. When someone purchases a drill, they're hiring that drill to do the job of creating a hole in their wall. When you think about your website, it's important to ask yourself, what is the job that people are hiring your website to do? When people hire a drill, they want a hole. However, people hire your website for many different reasons. They might hire your website to get product information. They might hire your website to find out how to purchase your product. They might hire your website to learn how to specify your product. They might hire your website to learn how to install or service your product. The list goes on and on. So you have to make sure that your website is doing the job that people need. And if your website is not doing the right job, then people are going to buy your product from a company whose website is doing the right job. Building materials companies' websites have several features and functionality in common. For instance, most building materials companies' website should have product configuration pages. They need to have a where to buy section on their website. Typically, you need to have a dealer portal. You're going to need support pages, installation guides, material safety data sheets, catalogs, and career pages. Those are just some of the common features that we see quite often on websites of building materials companies. With each of these types of pages, they each have their own level of complexity and challenges that building material companies face. And the problem really goes back to personalization. So there's typically different requirements for each of these pages based on geography, job role, or other segmentation data. This information is best presented in a very personalized way. This is another reason why HubSpot is great for building materials manufacturers and distributors. Since HubSpot is built on top of your CRM and has a built-in database, you can present personalized content that is segmented to the right audience, creating an Amazon-like experience on your website. Watching the evolution of websites over the past 25 years has given me a great deal of insight. It's given me a great deal of insight into what really works and what doesn't work. At ManoByte, we are passionate about building materials manufacturers succeeding with their digital transformation. And I strongly believe that HubSpot is poised to be the best CMS for building materials manufacturers who want to scale. However, there is another piece of this puzzle, but I'll talk to you about that at another time.
Thank you, Kevin, for joining us today and giving us your thoughts and insights into the building material manufacturer space and how specifically the HubSpot CMS or content management system can help building material manufacturers succeed. And so we thank you our audience for joining us today on this special edition of CEO Chat. Over the next few weeks, we'll be talking with Kevin Dean, CEO of ManoByte. And as he mentioned at the end of our interview there, he mentioned that he'll be talking to you about that particular subject at another time. And so we encourage you to tune in next week and for the next few weeks up until we launch Season 2 on March 9th of Swimming with Sharks. So please join us next week again for CEO Chat, where we will discuss with Kevin Dean a few more facets of the building material manufacturer space, his thoughts, his insights, and what building material manufacturers need to be thinking about. And so please join us next week, Tuesday at 2, for Swimming with Sharks CEO Chat. And until next time, please take care of yourself and each other, and may all your adventures be great.